What challenges do you foresee in US-German and also US-European relations in general with a Trump victory and a Trump government?
The problem is the Europeans have a preference for Democrats, and they had many voices in Europe made it clear that they're not happy with Trump. Them actually, and it's like they were an echo chamber of the Democratic Party that was exaggerating the issues of Trump. Yes, Trump is not a perfect candidate. He does say things that are not nice, and he's unconventional. He's a populist, but they got carried away with the exaggerations, the caricature of Trump. And, here in the election, he was called fascist, Nazi, ending democracy and all that, which is all exaggeration for just exciting the base of the Democrats to turn out and vote in high numbers. But it doesn't really reflect what he stands for. He is going to have issues with the Europeans, the old issues and new issues. The old issues, it's very old, decades old, the issue of how much are the Europeans spending on their defense. If you're part of NATO, you have to spend 2% of your economy on defense. And if you don't do that, it means you're counting on the US to help you. And that was annoying for many American administrations. The only person who did something about it in an undiplomatic way is Trump. Said, you need to spend, especially Germany. Germany is a wealthy country. Germany is an economic powerhouse, but doesn't spend enough on defense. Not only that, it was building close ties with the Russian Federation and tightening the dependence of Germany on energy from Russia. And Trump saw that as a problem. He told them not to do that, not to be overly dependent on Russia, but they thought that he doesn't make sense. And it turned out that he's right. I mean, they're too dependent on Russian energy, and that's not good for them. They thought that they can be friends with Russia, and then at the same time, they get upset with Trump when he removes the hundreds, maybe thousands of American soldiers from Germany. If you're not afraid of Russia, then why you're upset when he removes a small number of American soldiers? The other issue is Ukraine. I mean, the U.S., the United States, does not see Russia as an enemy. Period. Doesn't. There is no reason to see Russia. Russia does not challenge U.S. dominance of the world. Does not at all. Does not have the capacity to challenge. Now, Russia is a headache for the Europeans. It's very close to them and this ambitious power. And there is Ukraine. There's the issue of Ukraine. The United States does not see Putin as an enemy, does not see Putin as a challenge to its hegemony in the world, sees China as the issue. And then they're preparing to confront China in many ways. The Europeans were not convinced that China was a problem. They saw more of Russia as a problem and Putin, not China. But they have come around to see China as a problem, which is good. Trump likes that they're finally on the same page as to that. But as to Russia, the U.S. does not have any interest in weakening Putin or having the Russian state collapse, because Russia is a huge country. The Federation is a huge country. It has a lot of nuclear weapons. And many Americans, actually, especially right-wing Christians, they like Putin. They like how he's traditional Christian. It's a white Christian country. It's European. And they feel affinity to Russia. Now, does the U.S. want Russia to expand and swallow Ukraine? Expand? No, it doesn't want that. But at the same time, they don't want to fight. The U.S. does not want to fight open war at American taxpayer expense, because here is a war that open-ended. There is no end in sight, and the U.S. is paying for this war. And Trump is not a fan of spending American money open-ended conflict. He's not going to do that. And American national interest is not liberating the last inch of Ukrainian land. I mean, there are issues with some Ukrainian areas that have affinity to Russia, and Trump wants to put an end to this war because there's no point that he sees that a lot of Ukrainians are suffering and dying, and he doesn't want to fight 20 years in Ukraine spending money. So he wants to bring the war to an end. And the Europeans know that. I mean, the Russians know that. And no war, he says, no war in Gaza, no war in Lebanon, no war in Ukraine, because that's not a solution. That's especially that for the Israelis it's open-ended, and for the Ukrainians it's open-ended, and that's not going to continue.